Teaching in his name. What's the difference between Jesus, the model teacher, and teaching in his name?
Kind of as I alluded to in the first topic, Jesus has the ace in up his sleeve that he is God. Okay, we're not God. But that shouldn't give us a sense of, well, why even try to live a life of faith? Why even try to be virtuous? Why even try to evangelize? I can't do what Jesus did. But there's a really encouraging line in John chapter 14, and I forget what the verse is, but he says to his disciples that you will do even greater miracles than the ones I did. And we talked about this at an earlier show. You can imagine the disciples saying, what other miracles could be greater than what Jesus did? Raising the dead, that's
Right?
pretty top. It's top shelf.
That's pretty
That's
high
top
up
shelf
there.
miracle. So at any rate, what is that miracle that we can do that Jesus says empowers us and convinces us that we can do that's greater than these things of raising the dead and healing the sick? And it's how we help to convert people's hearts. Greatest miracle ever, turning a human heart to God, whether it's to God for the first time or back to God. And we are
Mm.
just instruments. We know that. And that's where the in his name comes. So the power and the grace and the ability, all of that comes from God. But what we can help with is the desire. We can bring that to the table. And sometimes we can't even get that, Steve. Like I can't even get out of bed sometimes in the morning, right? I got to smell that coffee. It's got to get the blood percolating, maybe it's the hot shower or something. But man, sometimes it's hard to get up for something unless you've got something you're really desiring to do. And if we don't have that desire, we can always pray for that desire. So I think teaching in his
Mm.
name is we bring that desire to the table. He gives us the tools. We have to work with those tools and we have to trust that he will lead us.
Yeah, amen. So it's a good thing to do. And if you're not
Mm-hmm.
feeling it, ask God for that desire. I think that's a really, really strong point that you make. And we want to be empowered by Christ. We want that desire and we want the enthusiasm to go in and share the good news. And I love the way that you laid that out. That perhaps is the most important work that we can do as humans is to introduce someone to the person of Jesus and begin to either establish or foster a relationship with him. So
Right.
really important. And we were thinking about, educators, teachers, catechists from our own lives who have done that for us, either made an impact in an explicitly, Catholic or religious setting or not. So Deacon Matt, did you give any thought to someone or other, more than one that you might want to share with us and our viewers?
Yeah, I got to call him out just because I talked to him today right before his birthday, which is tomorrow. But it's my friend for 22 years now, retired Father Mike Phillips in the Diocese of Davenport, lives in Burlington. I met him in a time in my life when I was going to the University of Iowa and like so many other college students, trying to be open-minded and just experience the world and all it has to offer. And I kind of left my Catholic faith behind and was in search for anything that I thought was interesting, inspiring, something that I deemed was meaningful,
Right.
and found myself back at St. Wenceslas Church because a friend invited me, that wonderful accompaniment action of invitation. And I met this great priest, Father Mike, and he took a shine to me right away. We just developed a great friendship. I'll be really personal. My parents divorced when I was 9. Father Mike, for a number of years, helped to fill a father role there for me in a way that goes beyond kind of the normal parish priest degree of fatherhood, where I see you Sunday or I see you at RE class or whatever. I was
Right.
seeing him probably every day. I'd leave my dorm, I'd go to the Newman Center for mass in the morning, hit my classes, then end up at the rectory. Sometimes we'd have dinner or just go hang out. And wow, what a great example of accompaniment. And because he spent time with me, because he was interested in me, and because he kept redirecting our relationship back to God, he got me thinking about priesthood. He got me thinking about just what to do with my life that is full of faith. And the long story of that is I did try the seminary out. It didn't take. I met Stacy, and we have 6 kids. But Father Mike is married Stacy and I. We named our first child after him. It's been a wonderful 22 years, and he celebrates his 78th birthday tomorrow.
How exciting. Well, So we appreciate you, right, Father Mike? You heard it here on Catechist Stream. What an honor, and thanks for sharing that, Deacon Matt.
Yeah.
I reflected on my education, from the early years, and I remember a teacher. I think she was my fourth grade teacher, Mrs. Christ, is how she pronounced it. We can read that as Christ, but
That'd be confusing.
that would be confusing. Mrs. Christ. Thank you, studio audience.
That was more of a wah, wah, wah.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
crickets.
we did those sounds, and I promised I wouldn't overuse those sounds again. So I'm gonna give that. I'm just gonna let you have that trombone sound. But I remember her not because of her attributes or attitudes. I thought she was pretty. I was in fourth grade. I was kind of starting to become aware. I bought her a big box of heart-shaped chocolates for Valentine's Day out of my own money at Kmart. And I just remember her as a person, and she just accepted me as a young kid, and that was the only thing that really stood out when I think back on her, honestly, is that I don't remember what she said. I don't remember what she taught. I don't really remember what she did, other than she knew me, she saw me. And that's really important. The next one, I'm going to skip to high school. My band director, Mr. Hodges. And it was a very similar thing where he challenged me, he encouraged me. He didn't take any BS, if you will, with any of the band
You
kids.
never gave any BS, Steve.
Yeah.
You know what's weird is? BS is the backwards of Steve Botsford.
Of SB. Yeah, it is weird. And that shows you how backwards I can be sometimes. And I did give him some BS, but he challenged me, and he always encouraged me, and I grew as a person and as a musician. And then when I went through RCIA in the church, I remember Jill and Lloyd Sutter, and he's a deacon now and retired. And they made a really strong impact on me. I mean, basically raised as a Protestant in various Protestant churches. And my number one question was, if Jesus was Jewish, then why do I want to be Catholic? I mean, that's really where I started from. And they accepted me. They didn't laugh me out of the room, and they helped me to understand and started providing more answers to questions that I never knew I even, that were out there. And then Tom Gottschall, my sponsor. And I think I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, right after Easter, I just celebrated my 30th year anniversary of confirmation. And then Dr. Kathleen O'Gorman in my master's program for religious education at Loyola in New Orleans. She's so pastoral and encouraging, but again, challenged me to grow. She knew there was more that I could produce. And, students, sometimes we just want to take the easy way out. And so I just really remember her explicitly challenging me in my faith development, in my vocation, that you can do more, think bigger, think broader. And so I just want to recognize all of those folks that made an impact in my life and say thank you.